Today I wanted to talk about another JavaScript method that you can use to manipulate arrays. And today we're going to go over Splice. So I have up our MDN web docs, of course, to follow along with. And a very important thing to note when you're using Splice is that it changes the contents of the array. So it's mutating the array instead of other methods which wouldn't change or mutate an array and it would create another one. So important to note that Splice does change your array. But we use this method to remove or replace an element, as it says here. So we can remove elements and we can add new elements, and I'll show you how to do that. You can see here in this example, they're using months, January, March, April, June, and then they are applying the splice method onto their array, and they're passing 1, 0, and February. So what does that mean? Well, the first argument is the start, which is in a zero-based index. This is where you want to start changing the array. So we know that an array starts at 0. So if we're saying we want to start at 1, then we can assume that it's going to start here in March. And then 0 is going to be the delete count. So we're not going to be deleting anything in here. And then the third argument is item, which item is going to be what we want to add to the array. So by looking at this, it's going to start with 1. It's going to start with March. It's not going to delete anything, and it's just going to add February. So the outcome here is that it's adding January, February, March to be in order with the months. So we can do something along those lines here. Maybe we want to do languages. We'll just say English, Spanish, and French. Okay, so we'll do languages.splice, and we'll go ahead and not pass anything just to see what the behavior is like. So we'll say we want to start at 0. We want to start at English. And we're not going to pass anything. So it'll show you in the documentation that if delete count is omitted, and we can skip this part because it's not relevant, then all the elements from the start to the end of the array will be deleted. So if we console.log this, everything from here on is going to be deleted, so there is going to be an empty array. Oh, yeah, so there's your empty array. So let's say we only want English, then we will start at Spanish. There we go. Okay. So, of course, if you do want to pass in and you only want to delete one thing. So let's say we only want to delete Spanish, then we're going to do the start count of 1, and we're just going to delete that one. And you can see that it's deleted Spanish. Let's say that we want to delete everything, which is what we did before, but we're being a little more specific. Then we will just pass in 2. If we knew what the contents were in the array, then we would know that that's what we're deleting. So if we go down here and we console.log this again, we'll just see English again is the only value in the array. Okay, and then the next argument in here is, let's scroll back up, item. So this is if we want to replace something or add a new element. Let's say we want to add new languages. So we'll go back into here, and where should we put it? We'll just, yeah, we'll put it at the beginning. So we'll just do 0. And we're not going to delete anything, but we're going to add Armenian. So now we've got this in the beginning, because that's where we want it to be. And then the rest of our array. If we wanted to add it to the end, we could do 4, or if we didn't know what that was, we could do languages.length, which is right now is 3, which would also be the index that we're actually looking for. So we'll go ahead and do languages.length, and we'll add Armenian, and then we'll also add Chinese. Let's clear this one. Okay, so now if we console log it, then we'll see this added on to the end. We've got Armenian and Chinese. So there we covered passing in the start, which is not optional. You have to pass that in, but delete count we know is optional, and adding an item is optional. So we have gone over passing the start in, the delete count of 0, the delete count of 1 or more than 1, and then replacing and adding items with item. So a real life example that I've had used in the past, like in LeetCode code problems, when I do an algorithm problem, would be searching through the array and removing, say, maybe all odd numbers or all even numbers, or maybe it's a number that's larger than 5, or whatever it is that I'm looking for, and I don't know exactly what the array is going to look like. I'll run a for loop and some conditionals. So I'll show you what that looks like. So let's get rid of these, and let's just do some random numbers. 3. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to start off easy, and let's just say that I want to delete 6. Okay, so I'll write a for loop. So while let I equals 0, so we want to start at the beginning, while I is less than languages.length, we're going to increment, and then we'll write our conditional. So the way to access that element in a loop is with languages at the index. So if whichever number it is that we're on in the loop is equal to 6, then we'll do languages. Whoops. I can't spell today. Languages dot splice. Oh my goodness, sorry. Languages dot splice, and then we are going to, the index is, so we can't pass this in, so we need to pass in index of JavaScript. So we'll just use this to see how we do that. Okay, so we want to get whatever that index of is. So if we come over here to 6, we're going to want to have passed in 2. So we'll do here, like this says, we'll start with the array name dot index of, and then we'll pass in this here, right? Index of whatever that is. And then we're going to just delete, oops, we know we're deleting just one, so we'll pass in 1. Okay, and then we'll just console log again languages to see that we have an array that doesn't have a 6 in it. Let's clear this out. And it has removed it. Okay, so that's a pretty simple example of how to use the method splice, not index of, how to use the method of splice. I hope that that was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, write me a comment. But yeah, thank you for watching this video.